Good evening and welcome to Speak Up Monday. Round of applause, why not? So as you know, we're here every Monday at Tropical Nomad, and Speak Up Monday is a show which is all about inspiration. People inspire people, unity and diversity. Especially now when you look at what's happening in the world, like there isn't no better time than now to create platforms for people to express and to share their particular message of hope and inspiration to other people. So tonight has been probably 2 years in the waiting. You didn't know that, right? So about that time ago, I started to tune in quite strongly to Mindvalley. So Mindvalley is the largest self-development platform in the world. A guy called Vishen Lakhiani that some of you here might know. So just an incredible platform which invites, curates, attracts some of the best people in this movement that we call self-development from around the world, right? In all areas of life, from financial to health to wealth to love to hypnotherapy, right? We'll get you some chairs, guys. So we've got 2 chairs for Ben. IU will help you out soon. Just stand there. Chairs are coming. So what it is, right? So tonight we have Siam Lee. So Siam Lee is a certified hypnotherapist trained by probably the most well-known hypnotherapist in the world, Marisa Peer, who again is under that Mindvalley platform. Let's call it a platform. So tonight is all about, how can we use this incredible modality to not only free ourselves from trauma, but also kind of move the needle in our own particular way to creating some kind of harmony and peace in the world, which I love.
Correct.
Which I love, my brother. So, Siam, maybe before we begin proper, for people that don't know you, right? So, who are you? Like, how did you get started in this whole hypnotherapist movement?
All right. So, hi everyone. Very glad to do that with you. It's been a long time. And so my name is Siam Lee. I'm a hypnotherapist, like you said. I'm certified by one of the biggest therapists in the world, we can say, Marisa Peer. I'm 40 years old today, and I know most of the people will say I'm 40 years old. I swear.
I was 54 2 days ago.
Oh, really? Okay, nice. Yeah, and I discovered actually hypnotherapy through my own journey. To my own healing journey, I would say. And when I saw the results, just basically, that was it, I just felt a call and I was like, wow, why no one, told me that before or teach me that before or talk about it. And for me, it was just like a call, it was like, I got to learn that. I got to dedicate my life to that, to understand also the science behind that, because I guess we're going to talk about it. But there's a lot of mysticism, I don't know, about hypnosis. A lot of people have the wrong thought about hypnosis, but actually we will talk about it. But hypnosis is very, I would say, a science. There's something about us that happen in our brain, and actually hypnosis is not about being controlled from the hypnotist. It's about you being guided from the hypnotist to basically touch and tap into your superpower. So we will talk about it.
Love it. Quick show of hands. So who here has had a hypnotherapist session? Just raise your hand. Great. There's a few. 3, 4. Come in, Mary. I love you, Mary. So who here would like to have one? Yeah. Why? Just a quick shout out. Why would you like a session? Carol, just shout it out.
To go back to certain events from the past.
Actually, let's give the microphone. Yeah. I think this is important. Yeah.
That's okay, Guzman?
Sound coming on.
To go back to certain events in the past and to be more aware of what actually happened. That for me would be the main reason. Yeah, and to go back to my childhood, because I have very few childhood memories. So it means that an entire part of my life is just not there, and I'd love to have it back.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carol. Keep passing on to the next person over here. Anyone who said they would like, what would they like? Yeah, please feel free. We'll come to you, Ben.
I think to understand myself more. Yeah.
Love that. Thank you. To understand myself more. So some is about unlocking memories from the past that are not there. For others, it's like, yeah, over to you.
Potentially to work on some of my limiting beliefs and some of the unconscious blockages that stand in my way.
Love that. Thank you. Keep going to your right. Yeah.
I was also going to say limiting beliefs, so definitely limiting beliefs, and also childhood trauma and trying to figure out why I act in certain ways and do certain things based on my childhood.
Keep going. So limiting beliefs, childhood trauma, see what's going on with my memories, which have perhaps been blocked out due to a trauma of some description. And how about you, my dear?
Understanding what's holding me back. Like, sometimes you want to move forward, but it's just freezing you, and you just want to understand that, so in order for you to move forward with your life.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned about the blockages, so that, and really interested about that superpower part to explore.
Wonderful. Thank you. Pass it forward.
I'm really interested in sort of future pacing and visualization and creating my future in my mind before it is reality. And also sugar cravings would be great to get rid of.
I love it. Let's get down to practicalities. Listen, man, I've got terrible sugar cravings. Help me. I love that. Please. Yeah. I love that. The honesty is, I love it.
I think I'll keep my sugar cravings, but I'd just be fascinated to see what was revealed that I'm not accessing right now, and also what's possible that I'm not accessing. Yeah.
Thank you. Would you like to say anything?
I'm seconding that, just being curious to know what would come up.
Got it. Okay, so we'll put the microphone back over to Guzman. So that's interesting, right? So we had a quick straw poll. For those of you who are not here, sorry, but you could hear them, but you couldn't see them. So we have a range here, right? A range of, as I mentioned before, childhood trauma, potential, unlocking potential. We heard about people being consciously aware that they have a block, but want to move it. And my brother Ben, love to see you, my man. It's a new world together, right? Beautiful, right? So the work that you two are going to jam together. If you don't know each other already, you probably do. Damn it, I knew it. Of course you do. Both French, beautiful men, of course. So here's the thing, right? Which is, I laugh and joke and I love it, but I'm also quite a serious, deep guy. This is the part that's quite serious, is that, as I mentioned before, off camera, right now we're in a place, in a space, at a time where human beings are doing what human beings do best, which is respond according to their childhood trauma, their collective trauma, and so on, without realizing that it's even there, and making decisions based upon that, thinking that they're coming from the logical mind when they're not. They're coming from the emotional mind, as you call it, or the subconscious. Yeah. So this is where this gets really real for me, because now how would it be, right, if the leaders of the world, or some of them, even a handful, because it's a tipping point, right? A handful were able to come from a place where things really do come through them, which are not tainted, as opposed to from them, which is created in their own mind from their biases. So that's the bit where I see your work is incredibly important and needed right now. So look, when you hear, people here in the audience kind of share with you, like what it is that they would want from a session, what comes up from you?
So there's different things. I would say the first thing is, like, for most of you, it's possible with hypnosis. So that's the good news. There's just one thing that sometimes you were talking about the memories. There's something that you need to know. Like, hypnosis is not about understanding the truth about what happened, but it's about shifting your belief or shifting the way you perceive what happened in a different way. So it's very important, because in the movie you see that, we use hypnosis and we're going to know who is guilty, who is that, who've done that. That's really not important. The importance is, like, how do I react to what happened in the past? And I might have a trauma, I might have, like, something bad happen to me. But once you heal that, you will understand that actually everything that happened in your past is here for a reason. And I guess that's the power of finding the resilience, to go through that. Just about that. But for most of what you guys were saying, about understanding better yourself. We can change the craving for sugar, for sure. It can be helpful. But most of what you were talking about is something that we can completely do thanks to hypnosis.
So I think of this, right? Over 500 people that you've seen over the years, that you've been trained by one of the best in the world. You know, what would you say, out of just casting an eye, whatever comes up first or second, you know, what are some of the biggest misnomers or misunderstandings that people have when it comes to you saying, you know, into like a dinner party setting, right? It's like, so, beautiful table, beautiful meal, beautiful wine, if you drink wine. It's like, so what do you do? It's like, I'm a lawyer. Oh, okay. So what are some of the biggest misnomers or just outrageous lies about what hypnotherapy is that you've heard from these 500 patients that you've had so far?
Yeah, so I mean, most of the time, people have a misunderstanding about what is hypnosis, and we all have this thinking that, oh, it's someone who will go into my mind. I have a lot of people, they say, oh, I don't want to do hypnosis because I'm scared that you're going to go into my mind. And I'm like, there's no possibility of that, you know. It's me, again, you know, I was saying that it's me helping you to dive into your subconscious, to dive into yourself and to understand yourself better. There's no way that a hypnosis, like, you know, can enter in your brain and transform and give you suggestion that doesn't fit your values. So I think it's very important to say that, because I guess a lot of people have this fear. You know, they're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. And actually, if they would try it, they will see the power and they will see, wow, okay, that's completely different, you know.
Let's talk about some of the use cases, right? Some of the people that have come to you, whatever comes up, you know, what have they achieved or discovered within themselves as a result of the work that you've done together?
Yeah, good question. That's huge. That's basically feel at peace. You know, most of the people, it's funny, in the beginning they're going to tell you, I want to be rich, or I want this, or I want a good relationship. But in the end, what I found out is like all human beings, and you know, I treat people from different country, different religion, so different culture. And I found out that basically all the human beings want the same thing, is like being at peace, you know, inside, feeling serene. So the big achievement I feel is like stopping reacting to the external world. Stopping, you know, looking for validation from the outside world. You might be a big entrepreneur, and you don't realize that actually you're running after something because subconsciously you're trying to get validation from maybe your parents that didn't give you, you know, the validation, and you still like actually not working for the right goals, you know. So I think the big achievement is most of the time they come for something, but when they get out from the program, from all the session that we are doing, they're like, oh, I came for something, but I find myself. So I would say that's the big achievement.
You know, so with coaching, right? So I've been coaching for years, but it comes into everything eventually. So it's almost like this. So someone comes to you with an idea of their intention. Where is it that I want to get to, right? And maybe you go through, well, that's where you want to go. This is where you are now. And let's head in that direction. And whatever comes up along the way, as you mentioned, quite often we think our thing is that. But what happens is that as we pull things out, it's like the trees have roots. You pull out one, these roots, these tentacles, basically are linked to all different areas that you didn't even realize at the time. So as you mentioned, you know, those people coming through didn't realize that it's peace that they really kind of wanted. So then from that perspective, you know, what do you suggest and recommend of people which are basically going to come into a session? Is there anything that they should prepare themselves for mentally? Is there something that they should be reaching for, like an intention, or not? How does it work?
I would say nothing really. You know, that's the beauty of that. You come in a session with an intention to heal yourself, to discover yourself, or to, you know, for the craving of the sugar. You come with this intention. But then after, I think that's the huge difference between like hypnotherapy and maybe other modalities, like, I don't know, coaching or even like psychotherapy, stuff like that, is that you're coming and then we are going to connect, yourself to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious know exactly where to go. So we're just a guide, and I think that's what makes a huge difference. I always say, to my student, because I teach also hypnotherapy. For me, a good therapist is someone who knows that he knows nothing. So you enter in the session, and you're not here to put your ego, as a therapist, to say like, I know what you have, I know what you should do. And I think that's the big mistake that most of the coach or therapists are doing. But we are here to basically connect the person, and the person has a kind of internal intelligence to know what he should do to heal. That's the beauty of it. And we're just the guide. Like you were saying, it go through us, but not from us. Yeah.
Love it, man. Love it. So each episode is different. Each episode has a different energy. With this one, I have a big feeling that there's going to be some questions. So if you have any questions in your mind, just keep a note of what they might be. And then we'll get that microphone to you. Now, Guzman, what he will probably do is there's a second camera here that will swivel around and catch you on camera. So remember, if you don't want to be on camera, then maybe save your question till later on after you switch your cameras off, and then ask your question then. So just keep a mental note of the questions you might have. So like you mentioned before that in a way this kind of found you, like there's something that you wanted to do. So what's the end goal for you? I think that's really important for people to actually hear.
What my mission, we have to say. So today I find that doing this work really empower me and make me feel at peace. And today what I want is really to convey this modality so we can inspire more leaders to do this work. Because today what I found is a lot of people actually who are leaders actually full of traumas. And unfortunately, the consequence of that is a lot of people, even coach, or it can be therapist or politician, CEO, they're leading with the trauma. Because maybe they have a childhood trauma they never address. We can see all the war in the world, everything that happened right now, you can see in Russia, you can see, in Palestine. I can guarantee you 100% that behind that, there is childhood trauma or collective trauma that is not healed inside those leaders. And they kind of reproducing, this kind of trauma and using the external world to kind of use the trauma. I don't know if it makes sense. And today for me, it's so important. We always want to say, I want to impact the world. And we forget that before impacting the world, we need to impact ourselves. We need to change within. I like to say a quote from Rumi. I don't know if you guys know Rumi. I love it. And he say, before I was clever, I wanted to change the world. And today I'm wise and I want to change myself. And I think this quote for me is so powerful because once you become aware of that, don't try to fight the external world, but try to heal from within, and you will see the huge impact that is so much more smooth, flowing, and I believe that's how we impact people, in changing ourselves first.
It reminds me of a story. It's a true story, and it's younger in my life. There's about 5 years, and there were 3 relationships which were about a year each. And for me being a guy, who knows why I said that, but for me being a guy, clearly I'm a guy. So each relationship ended through me externalizing. What does that mean? Through me saying, well, if it wasn't for this in the other person, then maybe we'd have a relationship that would last longer. If it wasn't for that, in other words, pointing the finger. Before I realized that one finger pointing at you is 3 pointing back at me, right? So what I realized now, I was horrified. After these 3 relationships ended, 3 different women, but the same reason. Then I realized one important thing. The only common denominator was me. And that was a hard moment, right? It's oh shit. All this time I thought it was them, but it's actually me. So this thing you mentioned about, the Rumi quote about, before I thought I was clever, and then I realized I want to change the world, and now I realize I was trying to change myself. So on that journey of self, for people that are watching now, right, who maybe they're in three different areas, let's say. Maybe one area where I was, which is oblivious, no idea, no clue, still in the finger pointing mode. That's one. Number two is maybe those who are beginning to figure out, hang on a second, the common denominator in all of these things is me. And then the third is like, it's definitely me. Like, damn it, it's definitely me. Like, what is the first step or two steps that each of those people can make just in what comes up for you?
To realize that? That's a good question. I think, like you said, it comes through life. You know, when you see a pattern that repeats, and then you start to understand, like, okay, I change partner. And most of the time, it's funny because relationship is actually one of the most challenging, and that actually the biggest challenge that makes you realize, like, oh, the common denominator is me, so it might not be the outside. You know, it might be me. That's it. So once you understand that you're repeating the same pattern over and over, there's only two choices, you know, or you start to work on yourself, or you repeat the same pattern. But what I find is like, in human being, there's some things like, as long, I would say, the suffering of changing is not enough, you know what I mean? They're not going to take action. So one of my mentors was saying that, like, you need to suffer enough, and that costs you more to stay at the same place than the fear of changing, you know what I mean? And I guess that's the biggest thing. And once you understand that, okay, now I'm ready to change, you cannot force someone to change. So also this is something as a therapist I understand, you know. The moment I start to understand this work, I was like, oh, mama, papa, you need to change. My brother, you know, my friend.
We can do this.
Yeah, we can do this. Yeah, exactly. And then you realize, like, whoa, okay, the more you're pushing people to change, the more they resist. So then you start to understand, okay, you got to respect. I guess it's a process. And you have to respect that. And again, not trying to push other people to change, but just change yourself. And what I found out is, like, as I'm changing myself, my brothers start to open up. Oh, what did you do? You know, oh, I know you were talking about that, but it takes years, you know. And then he start to do the work. And my mother start to open up a little bit about that. So, yeah, I guess that's not something that you can push too much, you know. You just have to be patient and trust the process and do the work again on yourself to inspire people.
Trust the process. We're going to get into that. So what we're going to do, one last question from me at this point, then we're going to go to you, right? Because I know there's some questions there. Carol, I know you have a question, and so on. So have your question ready, and that third microphone will come to you. When it comes, give it a moment for Guzman to push the sound up. Okay, so don't just say, like, is it working? Is it working? And it's not working. Just give him a moment. It'll turn the sound up. So, okay. So I'm interested on the practicalities of this, right? And I think other people too are interested in the practicalities. So if someone is coming to see you or another hypnotherapist, right, for a session, I know it can vary, but what could they expect? What's the process that you work through?
Yeah, good question. So the process is always, actually, you know, your subconscious. A lot of people have a misunderstanding and think the subconscious is only the brain. And actually, the more we study that and the more we start to understand, it's not only the brain, it's the body. Because before being a brain, we have a nervous system, you know, and we learn to evolve and to survive through the nervous system. So listen to your body, connect to your body to understand where is the place where I have, you know, the fear when maybe I go in a new relationship, or when I ask for money, or where, I don't know, you know, I have to apply for a new job. How does that feel in my body? Do I feel my chest, you know, or my heart paining, or, you know, some kind of heaviness on my shoulders? Your body is talking all the time to you. But I guess we in the society, we putting so much attention into what happened here, you know, and we think, like you were saying, we're always in control, or we know what we're doing. No, we don't. We need to reconnect to the body. So when you come to a session, it's basically that, you know, I teach you how to reconnect to your body. Because of the trauma also, you got to understand that many people are completely disconnected from their body, and they don't even feel anything. Sometimes, you know, I will ask people, so how does that feel? And they feel like, I don't feel anything. And I'm like, yeah, because you learn this process to shut down your emotion, and it's a kind of defensive mechanism. So the process actually to heal, what is funny, is like you need to feel your emotion. You need to feel your trauma. And most of the time what happens is like when you have a trauma, what you're trying to do, I want to avoid my feeling, you know. I want to put it under the table. I don't want to see it. And I guess that's why you need someone to show you to guide you and to show you the process, because you will have to face your shit. There's no other way. So that's what you need to expect and to be ready to go through it. But I swear that once you do it, it's like life-changing. So it's worth it.
All right. Sister Ayu, can we switch the cafe music down in the cafe? Thank you. So I did say it was the last question. I lied, not on purpose. It was an innocent lie, believe me. But you're going to like it, I think. So before we go to the audience, right? So I think it will be really helpful for people to understand how the trauma goes in the first place. Because we're talking retroactive, right? We're talking the trauma's in, and now we're over here and we want to fix it, or we want to nullify it, or we want to accept it, or we want to change it, right? But for those who maybe have kids, who has kids, by the way? Raise your hand. Oh, there you go. The parents in the front row, all of us. So our kids, right, we realize probably by now that the age between 0 and 6 or 7 is a theta brainwave state. The things that we show to our kids is having a deep impact, right? And then the 6 to 15 is another one, which is, again, then you get to see the fruits of what you did. Like, damn it, I did that, no. So let's trace a trauma loop from how it began to how it shows up in adult life. Yeah. And then we'll go to the questions.
Yeah, it's a very good question, but I want to add, like, let's not talk only about trauma, because sometimes when we talk about trauma, people feel like, oh, I don't have trauma because I didn't went through something like, you know, very heavy, like violent or sexual abuse. So people think, and I used to think like, oh, I don't have trauma, I'm fine. And a lot of my clients, they come to me and they say like, I'm fine. And I'm like, if you're fine, why are you here? You know? And always what we find out is like, it's not only trauma, but I would say trauma or emotional wounds. So let's say like negative experience, just to have a better understanding. So what happens is like, when you have a negative experience, that puts you in a space where you feel a strong emotion. Because people don't understand that emotion is actually the way for the body to remember. That's kind of like the memory of the body. You know, so once you have a strong emotion, so let's say you have an accident and you almost die and you feel it. So you have like a lot of hormones going on in your body and you feel that, and the body and the subconscious remember that. So anytime that you're going to go to some event that might looks like this accident, the body is just reacting and sending like a strong information faster than the logical mind, and then that's where the looks start to happen, you know, and you start to feel it, and because you feel it, you think it's real. And subconscious mind, something very important, doesn't make the difference in between the reality and what happened in your mind. And actually, let's make a small exercise. You wanting to do that? All of you, I'm actually going to hypnotize all of you. Are you okay for that? Okay.
So put the bottles down, we're ready.
Yeah, put everything down. Put the mic down. And what I'm going to ask you is to take a deep breath in and just to relax. So I want you to take a deep breath into your nose. Deep breath out to your mouth. With the sides. And just relax your shoulders. Relax your neck. Relax the muscle of your jaw, of your face. And I want you to just close your eyes. Take another deep breath in. Deep breath out. And 10 times deeper, exactly. And I want you to rub your hands. So you're going to rub your hands all together. A little bit faster. A little bit faster. And I want you to now put your hands in front of you. And just face your palm. Just straight, like if you hold the bag. Let's say you hold the bag. Okay. And palm facing each other. Exactly. And I want you to just put your hands just in the front like that. Exactly. And I want you to imagine that we're going to put a magnet in your left hand and a magnet in your right hand. And I want you to imagine and to feel this magnet in both hands, feeling the energy feeling the sensation that is slowly pulling your left hand and your right hand together. And you can try to resist, but the more you resist, the deeper you feel. And the deeper you feel, the deeper relax you go. And just enjoying the sensation of your left hand and your right hand getting connected together more and more. Feeling the pull and just imagining the left hand and the right hand getting connected together a little bit deeper. Millimeters after millimeters, centimeters after centimeters. And you can try to resist, but the deeper you resist, the deeper you feel the attraction. That's right. Exactly. Feeling amazing. And you can just let both of your hands getting touched together. Feeling the sensation until you will feel both of your hands getting connected together. That's right. Doing amazing. Feeling the energy. Feeling the magnets. Feeling the power. Feeling the sensation. Exactly. So once it's getting connected, you can just drop your hands. Feeling amazing. That's right. And you can come back to the sound of my voice. You can open your eyes whenever you feel. Coming out from the trance. Amazing. So, how did you feel?
Peaceful.
Yeah, peaceful. But what I want you to understand, you agree with me that your hands were here and it moves slowly. What did you feel in between your hands?
An attractive pull.
But you agree with me that nothing was there?
No, nothing was there.
So why do you think your hands moved?
Maybe to the suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I want you to make you understand. Like when you see that on the stage, the people is trying to make you feel that he's controlling you. You know, I'm putting the magnet and, you know, like I'm controlling your hand and, you know, they're kind of illustrating that to make you feel that they have the power. But the only power that happens is in the mind of the person. So the more you have a bigger imagination and the more your body is reacting to the suggestion, to what you are visualizing. Me, I'm just helping basically your brain to have like a vision about, oh, I have two magnets and I feel two magnet, and because I feel there's two magnet, I believe there's two magnet, and then the hand is like getting closer and closer together. The magic is within your mind, and that's what I want you to understand, because imagine if I can make you believe just like that in 5 minutes that you have a magnet and your hands are reacting to that. Imagine when you think and you believe that you're not enough, you know, that people are better than you, that you don't deserve. Your body is reacting to all the suggestions that you are sending to your brain 24 hours for maybe 20, 30, 40 years. Imagine the damage that it happened inside. So basically that's what I want to make you understand tonight.
Beautiful, brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We could almost end it. We're not going to end it. We could almost end it there. You get the visit like, that was great. I can go. Questions. So we have a microphone there with Guzman. Guzman, Sister Carol over here. So remember, if you have a question, you want to be private with it, don't ask it now because it's going to be on camera. Do it later. It's okay. But thank you, Sister Carol.
So I'd like to go back to what you mentioned about the body and emotions. I used to be unbelievably disconnected from my body, and I never ever listened to it. So I was never tired. I suffer from a lot of energy. And last year, I stood on stage and I did a talk about being sexually assaulted as a child. Drafting that story really connected me to my body in the sense that I was in so much pain. It was horrendous. And since I have been writing, and I'm a poet on the island, so I virtually sell emotions, and I'm virtually experiencing pain because I dwell in those emotions all the time. So I had never put hypnotherapy together with body work. But never ever considered that, because for me it was, massage or deep tissue healing, but not anything that almost seems to connect you to the mind, not to the body. So I'm really interested in knowing what hypnotherapy does to the body, and especially, as you say, like the more you connect to your emotion, the more you release. My experience is that the more I connect to emotions and I express emotion and took on people's emotions and deliver that emotion as storytelling or poetry, the more I'm suffering as a result.
That's a very good question. First of all, most of the hypnotherapists doesn't make the connection in between here and the body. It's because, as a hypnotherapist, I'm very interested with other work, like, breath work or body work. And then when I start to, also I'm studying a lot about neuroscience. So when I start to make the connection in between the nervous system and understand that actually the brain is an extension of your nervous system, that's where I start to understand all that. And once I understand that, I was practicing on my client, and I've seen the connection, and I've experienced that through them and through myself, because I can do hypnosis on myself also, and see how hypnosis basically, once you change the belief, you change the emotion, and it's that actually you need to change the emotion, because what you're saying is like you're experiencing the pain because you're experiencing the trauma, the emotion of your trauma. So there is something that is super important. You need to rewire the story. You need to rewire the brain, the connection, the neural pathway in your brain, so the mind will send different kind of emotion to your body. And that's what happened in the session. There's a concept that is very interesting that we call the hypnotic trance. When we do the hypnosis, and then you tap into the right things, and you give a new story to the brain, the emotion is changing. And it happened that I have some patients, they are shaking, they are moving, they are completely, you see the nervous system is responding to that. People making some wave, people are having like some kind of release, wants to scream. So the body is reacting to that. But you need to rewire also what happened here. You know what I mean? So if you're just experiencing the emotion through the prism of your trauma, yeah, I get it. You gotta have pain because it's a negative emotion that is sending to the, it's like the loop that you were talking about, the trauma. And I think it's also super important for all of you guys to understand there's a lot of modality in Bali about healing, and some healing, unfortunately, are just connecting you to the trauma. They're releasing the trauma, the emotion, but they're not rewiring the story. And I think sometimes it can be dangerous. So I'm not saying it's not good, I'm doing it, but I'm saying like this is not the whole process. The whole process is like, yeah, you need to trigger the emotion, the trauma, you need to feel it, to release it, but behind that, and I think where hypnotherapy is a bit different, is like you have the possibility to rewire the brain and what happened, and to tell a new story. That's the true, complete, I would say, healing modality that you need to follow.
Does it then disconnect you to the emotion in such a way that you cannot experience that emotion in order to create? Because I'm a creative. I mean, I'm an artist in that way. Yeah. I need that stuff.
Okay, that's a super good question. I'm a creative too. I used to be a musician, so I learned healing and I learned to understand all that vibration and frequency through music, actually, and actually not. It kind of like enhances you to be more creative, because it's a limiting belief that, we need to suffer to create. It's just you're going to create different things. Like, if you connect it to the sadness, you want the frequency of the sadness, so your music or your art will be something that is connecting to this vibration, is resonating with that. But I don't know, like once you heal and you connect it to maybe a higher frequency of being grateful or being loved or stuff like that, your art will change, I would say. But I wouldn't say that that you will not be creative at all. You will even be more creative because for me, you receive some information, you're more open, your body is more open to whatever information is here, and you can tap into whatever you want, but you can do it consciously. That's the big difference. But that's a super good question, because a lot of artists or people think, oh, once I'm healed, they have this fear. What is the identity that I have? Because I create my identity from my trauma. So they think, like, if I heal my trauma, what am I going to be? And what I want to tell to people is that you're going to be a better version of you. You're going to be even more successful.
Yeah, you create your ability to be compassionate and to also take the trauma of others and write about that. And I don't want to lose that ability that I can connect with others and then be that vehicle to speak about things like that.
I do understand. I mean, today I'm writing a book about the trauma, about the genocide that my family went through and stuff like that. I don't think I can disconnect from this feeling. But when I want to connect to this feeling, it's not the same story that happened. I can still connect to the feeling. I mean, once you heal, it doesn't mean that you're never going to feel pain or fear no, we're still human beings. But it's just that you're not letting this, it's choice, is like you're not going to let this emotion control you. That's the big difference. Yeah.
Merci.
Beautiful, Carol. Ooh, some more goosebumps. Love this stuff. Who else has a question? Brother Ben, yeah. And for you, my darling, afterwards, yeah.
Yes, Siam, I just want to know, I'm very happy to hear that we talked about collective traumas and things like this. And generally, currently, the therapeutic paradigm is very individualistic. Mm-hmm. Do you know of any hypnotherapists that are currently working on groups and on collective traumas, or is that something breakthrough?
I do. I'm starting to do it, but I'm not sure. So, what is your question exactly?
Is there already people doing it that you know of? Is there a reference of hypnotherapists who are starting to take on the elephant in the room, which is collective traumas?
I think so. The thing is, like, that's what I was saying before. I think like collective trauma, it's a layer that we need to heal. But I would say, if you're not healing first, like we were saying, if you're not healing yourself first, and you're not like clear with yourself, how are you going to tap into collective trauma? Because when I do a session about collective trauma, we're going to your ancestor, to the feeling. So in the body, we have, it sounds weird, but now we know that our DNA is carrying basically the information of, let's say, if your ancestor went to slavery, to genocide, to war, or whatever, this feeling that they used to have is carried in our gene. And maybe like the next generation will still have this trauma within them, even though it didn't happen to them. But I feel if you're not like healing also, what happened in your life, and you're not understanding yourself, your vessel, your body is maybe not ready to heal the next level. That's, I did session like not long time ago, actually last month, with a group of people, and some of the people were saying like the session about collective trauma was too scary for them, and it was too intense for them, and they felt like, I need to go back to, because how I do when I do that, I say, okay, first we're going to heal like what we call the inner child, First we're going to, do this cleansing, and then after we're going to go to your parents, and we're going to go to your ancestor, and we're going to go to the collective trauma. But I would say like skipping that, it can be a kind of bypass to not working on yourself and just, focus, I need to heal the collective trauma. But it's like spirituality, I need to be spiritual because I don't want to be in this world. This world, I don't find the answer. I don't find my space, my place. And what I do is like, I go in spirituality. I'm not saying it's not good, but it's a connection. Everything is linked. It's not separated. So you need to do the work. And I like to say a house needs good foundation. So the good foundation is first heal your life, heal what happened in your life, and then put another brick and another one and go to collective trauma. And I would say like already now, there's few people who are aware of that. So the collective trauma, it's reserved maybe for the leader, the what we were calling, the conscious leadership, another kind of people who already have this awareness. And then, yes, I totally agree with you. We need to do, it's like paramount to do this work. But I would say in the right order. So yeah.
Thank you.
Benjamin, thank you, my brother. We'll pass the microphone that way. And just while we're passing the microphone, I just want to add, I'm excited. Like, I'm very happy, and I'll share that soon why. But here's the thing I want to share, which is, as I said before, this is number 392, right? Here's the thing. It's like, over this time, we've interviewed so many different types of people. Again, entrepreneurism to social impact, and so many areas in between. And when we have these kinds of conversations, which I also love, it blows my mind because, like what I see is different ways, and this is going to sound interesting how I'm going to say this, but different ways to Mecca. I'm not a Muslim, but I'm just saying different ways to reach your own Mecca within yourself, your own kingdom within yourself. For some, they might relate and want to try and know that hypnotherapy is the root for them. For others, it might be something else, right? And just the way, great question, both of you, but just the way that you frame that, because again, I know Ben, right? And we've been talking for years. I love his work. I love what he's doing. I love what he stands for on the planet, what he's doing, right? And the collective trauma that he refers to is something which is super real. And, every country has a shape, right? And that shape, just like, if I ask you now, if you saw a person who was very sad, what would they look like? And you would probably go, well, their shoulders would be down, their head would be down, and they'd kind of be like this, So I see that each country has a shape based upon its history, and it was Janur, the guy, Janur Yassa, he won the CNN Heroes for plastic exchange, right? Super cool guy. Like, wow. So he's got on one side, he's got this Balinese beautiful ancestry and power. He was the first guy who explained to me what Tri Hitakarana meant. And it's still blowing my mind to this day. But on the other side, he's a guy who is deeply deep, and we spoke about just this topic like that. And when you look at it from his perspective of shape, it's amazing what comes out and what's revealed to you. But the intention at the end of the game is, how do we balance? Like last bit of this monologue that I've suddenly decided to give you, there's a king named King Erawan from Korambatan, very close friend. Through Erawan for the last 4 or 5 years, I've delved deeper into the Balinese culture and philosophy than I probably would have ever got, right? And there's things like lontar ceremonies and ceremonial cremations and so on and so on and so on. One other guy, 2RG, another Brahman, another priest in Gyanyad. Erawan is in Korambatan, which is Tabanan, and 2RG is in Gyanyad. Now here's the thing. So beneath all of this is an understanding that what we're doing is balancing the energies. When you get down to the heart and soul of the culture here in Bali, it's about tradition. It's about balancing the energies and balancing the spirits. And that's what ceremonies are for. And all these other things which I had no idea about. So again, when I look at all these different modalities, I see them as each as a different way of balancing out the nature. And we're part of the nature. So great question. Over to you, my dear.
My question is sort of twofold. It's practically, if someone were to come to you with limiting beliefs, like not being deserving of something, how would that look in terms of a course of sessions? Is that dealt with in one session? But then you mentioned you focus on inner child first. I just wondered practically that process. And the second fold is the permanence of changes. I just worry that I would have the session, feel all good, and then it would change,
Yeah. Good question. I guess like everyone wants, the one session, the one healer, the one thing, and it doesn't exist. I'm sorry, this is only marketing. But yeah, sometimes when you're ready, you can go into a session, and it happened that, you know, one of my clients, they come and we do one session and they have a big breakthrough. But it's because they've done like so many work before. You know what I mean? So don't enter in the session with having this expectation. And if you are a therapist, don't also put that on your shoulders, because I think that's a mistake. I was doing that before because I've been trained in the way that, okay, in one session we have to do the maximum and stuff like that. No, just do the best you can. You know, the session is about the therapist and also the patient, the client, how much they are ready to break the limiting belief. So when you come with a limiting belief, I don't know actually. You know, you come and it's like in one session it can be fixed. Maybe you need 2, 3, 4 sessions. It's not something that we can say before. I don't know if that answered to your question. Yeah? Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
You had a part 2?
Oh, yes, just about the permanence.
The permanence, so one thing that is very important to understand is like if you want something permanent, first of all, you need to clear I would say like the limiting belief. Where does it come from? What is the emotion that is linked? So a limiting belief is always linked to an emotion. It might sound weird, but when you have a limiting belief, you will see that if you connect to this limiting belief, like I'm not enough, for example, you will see that when you go in hypnosis, something will happen in the body. You know, maybe in the chest, maybe in the stomach. It's not the same for everyone. So you need to clear that first. Once you clear, it's like a computer. You know, you need to clear the hard drive and then put another software. So for the permanence, there's also something important. It's like the repetition. Subconscious work based on the repetition. Like when you were a kid, you learn a poem, how? Or like the lyrics of a music, because you repeat it. And I guess if you want something permanent, you have to involve yourself also in this thing. It's not a one session and up, everything is gone. Yeah.
Great question. And I was, part of me was like hoping the same.
I know, everyone wants
like,
it. Yes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Just one session.
One session and everything is fixed. No.
One session and I'm good. That's all I need.
I think don't fall into this trap. Don't fall into this trap, because the moment you have this expectation, you're gonna attract basically all the fake people. You know what I mean? That say, oh, do one session and everything's gonna be fixed. No, that's not true. And why would we expect that? You know? And I remember when my mentor was telling me that actually, look, you know, once you heal, once you've done all this work, somehow the most beautiful thing is the journey. And sometimes we are so like expecting, I need to reach there. And once we reach there, it's like, oh, that's it, that's over. Shit. But actually the learning process or the healing process was actually beautiful, because you met people, you're looking for something. So I would say, learn to enjoy the process. Yeah.
How's everyone feeling? Any more questions out there that the people have that they would like an answer to, or some guidance on? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. Yeah. His foot was on it. Didn't even feel it.
Testing. Okay. So I read The Journey of Souls a while ago. Have you ever connected with people's past lives? Love to hear about that.
Yeah. But my answer will be maybe not what you expect. So I guess no one really have the answer. It's interesting what you're talking about past life, because it's going to like connect with what we call collective trauma. From my understanding, so before when I start my career, I was also very interested with this thing. And actually, I've connected to what we can call my past life. And I can see, as I was under hypnosis, I can see a lot of memory where I was a slave, where I was killed in different period of time, different country, and everything was related to injustice. And it's funny because the injustice feeling was something that happened all the time in my life with racism when I was at school. I always felt that. And the moment I start to really heal that, then it was weird, like this injustice feeling today is not there anymore, you know, and I don't attract this kind of situation in my life. So what I want to tell you is like there is two visions, and I'm not going to tell you what you should believe. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I can only tell you what I have observed in my session. Some people can, for sure with hypnosis, we can relate to something that it feels a past life, but we don't know for sure 100%, is it a past life or is it maybe a collective trauma? And I think it's a super interesting question, and I think you might like that. Because a lot of my clients, you know, they will tell me all the time, oh, I was Cleopatra, oh, I was a witch. You know, the same kind of story. And at some point, because of that, I starting to doubt myself. I was like, is it really like my past life? Or is it more knowing the subconscious, how powerful it is to imagine stuff or to connect to stuff, that maybe the subconscious is just creating those memories because it interprets the collective trauma. So you can do it, and actually you should do it, and it's very powerful to help yourself. So for me as a therapist, the most important, I don't want to give you an answer to say this is past life, this is this, I don't care. But what I'm sure for 100% is like when you see the reaction of people when they connected to this kind of memory, that's very impressive. And when you help them to release that and to heal properly that, the change and the shift is also amazing. So yeah, that's all I can say.
Thank you. Super interesting.
Great question. All right, so we're beginning to wrap up. There's two questions and another monologue from me. Anyway, let's go to the questions first. So the first one is, how do you check yourself, right? Which is linked to the second question of, I know that trauma isn't the whole picture. It's a important part of it, a contributing factor, but not the whole picture. So the second part of that question is, you know, how can we, right, as a populace, as a parent, not as a parent, right? How can we heal these traumas before they become big traumas? So for example, if in the present moment something happens, and then I say to myself, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're not good enough, you shouldn't have done that, da 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 da. Now, we could probably say that continuing along that line, I'm creating something for myself in the future called a trauma, right? So then how can we not stop, but dissolve that on the process as it's happening or after it happens? And then for you, is that how do you connect yourself? How do you check yourself? How do you clean your instrument? Yeah.
Okay, so there's like kind of two questions. So in the order, how do you check yourself? And after I'm going to answer, yeah. How you check yourself, how do I check myself, is basically, you can go in hypnosis and understand that hypnosis from the brain perspective is not very different than meditation. It's actually the same thing, it's theta states. So it's slowing down your heartbeat, slowing down the wave brain. And when you're in this state, it's basically being relaxed. You know, that's why I ask you to take a deep breath in before and just start to relax your shoulders, relax your stomach and stuff like that. So it takes just a few seconds, truly. When you know exactly how to do it, it really takes a few seconds. Once you are very relaxed, you can check yourself in connecting to a memory or an emotion that you used to feel. Let's say I used to not feel enough. Then connect to your body and feel, how does that feel when I'm not feeling enough? So you put yourself into meditation or into hypnosis, it's exactly the same. And ask yourself, how do I feel? But truly, you know, you got to be like true to yourself. Do I feel my body reacting? Maybe I feel, there's a tension in my stomach. Oh, you know, I feel my shoulders becoming heavy, or my heart. And that is the truth. You cannot lie to yourself. Your body will never lie to you if you are true to yourself, if you want to be true to yourself. So that's how you check on yourself. There's a test that we can do, but it will take a bit more time and it can put you into not good state, so I don't want to do it now in live. But there's a very easy way to see how, if you really healed or if you're okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing, so how do you heal yourself? Like if it's happened, if something bad happened?
Yeah, if something's happening and you can see that repeated pattern of behavior will probably lead to a trauma, which has its own impacts later on. So then how can you, maybe not quite in the moment, but shortly thereafter, how can you dissolve this before it becomes that?
Okay, that's a hard question. But okay, I'm going to try to explain you one process that is super powerful. Is basically, again, when you are under meditation in these states and you connect to the trauma, the feeling, the negative emotion, you have to basically bring this past version into your present and connect. This past version is like a time traveling, you know. You're traveling to the time, you go visit this version, and you ask this version, okay, come into my past, and I'm going to into my present, and I'm going to show you that right now, in the present moment, we are safe. Nothing happened. Everything that you thought or you believe is not wrong. It's wrong. It's not true. It's not the truth. So you need to bring a new reality. And for the how can I say, the mental is difficult to understand that because it doesn't feel logical. It's like, how can I just visit my past version and stuff like that? But remember again, with the magnet, your subconscious mind works a different way. So you can visit all this version, and basically that's really the power of hypnosis. You travel the time, and you connect, and you can even connect to the future. But it's too complicated. So first of all, bring the past version, the version who has been traumatized, into the present and show what is happening right now. See, right now you're safe because I'm alive. You know, it's kind of the future version visiting, you know, the past version and say like, look, I can guarantee you 100% that you have survived. And only that, for a trauma, it's really like a big release.
Thank you, my brother. So before I say this final part, I'm going to ask you these questions because I'll probably forget to ask you. Right? So the questions are, you know, if there's anything in, this will be in about 3 minutes, right? Is there anything that you maybe want to say that maybe you would like to say or you feel is a good time to say it, right? Maybe you've said it before and you're reiterating it, or maybe it's something fresh coming through, not from, right? You want to let people know about. That's one. In about 3 minutes. And then the second one, if people want to come and hit you up, want to come and see you, how do they do that? So they're the two things I want you to remember because I'm probably going to forget after I say what I'm about to say. So, firstly, quickly, thanks again, Brother Guzman, Sister Ayu, Brother Hadis. I appreciate you, Tropical Nomad. Again, we started this show like 4 and a bit years ago or more, and it wasn't looking like it does now. That's all I can say. It was very different, but the intention was there. So my sister Carol over there interviewed me a while ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. So if what I'm about to say stokes your interest, go back and check that episode and you'll get more. So what it is, so Robert Ian Bonnick is my name, RIB and Associates is the company. It's like a growth strategist in Indonesia. And what it does is that it facilitates with connections, resources, all the things that you need to come to Indonesia to grow as a company, as a person. Very wide, but it does all of those things. Why is that important? So I said before, I'm happy. I'm usually happy, right? But I'm happy. And I said, I'll tell you later on why. So this is that time, right? So without going too deep, I grew up in London, 2 children's homes for about 17 years, right? You name it, I kind of saw it. Racism, sexism, blah, 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 all of it, pretty much, right? But what I realized at the age of 12 was that I was here to do something else. I was here to do like a Secretary General of the UN, but without the political interference. To bring people together and create projects that have a huge impact on humanity to the positive. At 12, I figured this all out, but it took me years to get there. So through going through different coaching modalities, working with supermodels, superstars, legends of the world, and all this other stuff that happened to me in this crazy life that I've had, what I realize, why I'm here, what I'm doing right now, through what we do, is being the advisor and connector to world leaders making a difference, right? So the reason why I'm happy about this is because, I've always been very comfortable and natural with coaching. It's just who I've been because of the life that I've had and I've learned. But here's the thing, as I said before about having a suite of different modalities that can help you to have an impact in that moment based upon who you're with. This is one of those moments because, again, coming back to the world, what I can see is absolutely needed is a reconnection to self. The quote you started with, Rumi, right? I thought I was clever, I wanted to change the world. Then I realized I just want to change me. So what I see and what you're doing, which is what I said already, but I realized that how I can also use it is to reflect that back to the world leaders that I'm talking to. And it's fucking beautiful.
Beautiful.
So thank you very much indeed, my brother. Love that.
Thank you for the space also to give the space to people like us to express and to connect to other people, because I think the world is all about connection. So yeah, that's beautiful.
Those 2 questions.
Yeah. So first question I already forgot. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
That's the second.
Anything that you want to say.
Oh yeah. I get it. I think that's what I want to convey. It's just that. It's just world. Life is about experiencing, it's about connection with people and reconnecting to ourselves again. Because if you cannot connect to yourself, how can you connect to other people? I can only encourage people who want to create a better impact to do this work on themselves first. I think, I've seen so many people who come to me and tell me, I want to impact the world, I want to do that, I want to do this. But when I check emotionally where they are, I'm like, wow, no, that's not going to be good. And I apply that to myself, So we're never going to be perfect, obviously. But I guess being aware that we have this work to do and clearing as much as we can to hold a space for people and to help people, impact people from a place of wisdom and not from a place of fear, of scarcity, or, traumas. So, yeah.
And what I love about that is that even though what I just said, it's not me, it's all of us.
Yeah.
So this is not me, it's we. That's what I've neglected to say. So I look at Benjamin over there, he's on his phone. He has a part to play. All of us have a part to play in this. And it starts off with us taking personal responsibility for our own patterns. And once we get into that, then we can start to create something incredible. The last question was, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah. So you can connect to me through social media, Instagram, Siam Lee. Transformation. You can also, I drop a link if you want to connect with me, have a talk, if you want to walk with me. This is all on Instagram, so yeah.
Cool. Round of applause, everyone. Siam Lee. Thank you very much.